You're born in 16th century Europe, in a world that can't decide what it fears more, the devil, the plague, or itself. The priests say the world is ending any day now, and the way the sky burns red at dusk makes you almost believe it. Your mother calls you a gift from God. Your father calls you a mouth to feed. The neighbors call you nothing, because no one dares speak to the child of a man who digs graves for a living. By age 5, you already know the smell of rot better than bread. You follow your father at night, carrying his lantern through the churchyard, watching him lower bodies into the earth. Bodies of mothers, children, priests, soldiers. No one escapes the dirt. You hear the whispers even then. Witches caused the fever, witches poisoned the well, witches cursed the crops. A word spat like venom, a word heavy enough to kill. At 7, you see your first burning. The squares packed, torches blazing. A woman tied to the stake screams for mercy, but no one listens. They call her a witch because her cow gave birth to a calf with 2 heads. The priest raises his hand and the crowd shouts, "Burn the devil's whore!" The fire crackles, smoke swallows the sky, and you can't look away. The crowd cheers like it's a festival. You feel sick, but in that sickness grows something dangerous. Curiosity. By 10, you're already different. Other children wrestle, chase chickens, steal apples. You sit in the church, listening, not just to sermons, but to whispers. You learn who fears who, which families feud, who lost a child, who hates their neighbor. Fear, you discover, is the most fertile soil. It grows anything you plant in it. Your father dies when you're 12. Fever takes him in 3 nights, fast and merciless. You watch him buried in the same earth he once dug for others. The priest places a hand on your shoulder. Your father served God, he says. Now you must serve him too. But God doesn't pay for bread. So the priest gives you work, carrying water, ringing bells, cleaning wax from the altar. You're grateful. Until one night, he calls you into the rectory and shows you something that changes everything. On his table lies a book bound in dark leather, older than the church itself. Its pages are filled with symbols that make your eyes ache, words that taste like iron when you whisper them. "This is how we find them," he says, eyes burning. "This is how we hunt the devil's children." Your hands tremble as you trace the ink. You don't understand half of it, but the other half makes too much sense. Your training begins in secret. First lesson, observation. A witch is never what she seems. She hides in plain sight, smiling, weaving curses under her breath. Look for the signs: a crooked finger, a black cat, a child sick without reason, butter that won't churn, bread that won't rise. Second lesson, interrogation. Ask questions until answers twist into contradictions. Write everything down. People damn themselves with their own tongues. Third lesson, pain. The devil's servants are stubborn. Their lies are thick as chains. Sometimes chains must break. By 15, you've seen enough confessions wrung from screaming mouths to know the truth doesn't matter. A witch is whoever the crowd says she is. Your job is to make sure the crowd never doubts. You're given your first case. A farmer swears his neighbor's wife cursed his fields. The priest nods and points to you. Prove it. You visit the woman's cottage. She's gray-haired, her hands cracked from years of work. She swears she's innocent. Of course they all do. You search her home and find a jar of herbs, a cat curled by the fire. Evidence enough. The trial is quick. They strip her, searching for the devil's mark. A mole on her thigh seals her fate. You ask her the final question. Do you repent? She spits at your feet. The crowd roars as the fire eats her alive. Your stomach twists, but you don't flinch. You've passed the test. 17, and you're no longer just an apprentice. You're a witch hunter, a name both feared and revered. The church gives you coin, the crowd gives you power, and fear gives you purpose. Villages call for you when cows die, when storms strike, when children sicken. You ride in with your black cloak, your book, your tools, and you give them someone to blame. But power rots as quickly as flesh. The more witches you burn, the more the crowd demands. An old man sneezes during mass. Witchcraft. A child stumbles on a root. Witchcraft. A widow lives alone with too many cats. Witchcraft. You don't choose cases anymore. The crowd chooses and you deliver. At 20, you discover the truth they never told you. Witch hunting is less about God, more about control. Land disputes, jealous lovers, unpaid debts, all settled by fire. You watch a nobleman whisper into a judge's ear, and suddenly his rival's wife is accused of flying on broomsticks. You protest once, saying there's no proof. The priest's hand slams your face. Proof is what we make it, he snarls. You don't protest again. The years blur into fire and screams. You perfect your craft. You know how long someone can hang by their wrists before their shoulders give, how to dunk a woman in the river until she confesses, how to terrify children into accusing their own mothers. You keep notes like a scholar. Subject lasted 2 dunkings before confession. Subject's neighbor corroborated story. Recommended death by fire. Your reputation spreads. They call you the devil's hammer. Priests shake your hand. Villagers bow. But no one meets your eyes for long. You're necessary, not welcome. Children run when they see you. Women cross themselves. Men lower their voices. You live on the edge of town. Your only company, the echoes of the condemned. At 30, you start to question. Not openly. That's suicide. But in the silence of your room. How many of them were truly guilty? 1 in 10? 1 in 100? You remember their faces at night, whispering in your dreams. Begging. Cursing. Laughing. Some mornings you wake screaming. At 35, you make your first mistake. A young girl, no more than 12, accused because her stepfather wanted her gone. You hesitate. She looks at you with wide, terrified eyes. She could be your sister, if you'd had one. You tell the court you find no evidence. The next day, the priest calls you in. Mercy, he hisses, is treason. He plunges your hand into boiling water. Trial by ordeal. Your flesh sizzles. Blisters rise. When your hand heals cleanly weeks later, they call it God's will. But you know better. God was silent, only pain spoke. By 40, your body betrays you. Your hands shake from years of tightening ropes, striking iron, lifting bodies. You drink to sleep, but drink brings nightmares sharper. You see faces in the flames, whispering your name. The crowd still cheers when you burn another witch, but you feel hollow. Each fire eats not just the condemned, but a piece of you. At 45, a case changes everything. A nobleman's daughter accused by jealous rivals. She swears she's innocent. You believe her. For the first time in decades, you believe. You delay her trial, try to find proof of her innocence. But the court is impatient. They take her anyway. You watch her burn, her eyes locked on yours until the flames swallow her. That night, you vomit until your throat bleeds. Something inside you cracks. By 50, no one trusts you. Some say you've gone soft. Others say you're cursed by the very witches you burned. The church sends younger hunters now, zealots eager for blood, too blind to see the game. You're a relic, necessary once but inconvenient now. You retire, if you can call it that. Alone, haunted, broken. You hear whispers outside your door at night. Maybe it's villagers spitting on your name. Maybe it's the voices of the dead. It doesn't matter. You know your fate. Witch hunters rarely die in bed. One winter morning, they come for you. A mob, led by a priest younger than your youngest memory. They accuse you of consorting with witches. The irony burns more than the ropes. You laugh as they drag you to the stake. For years you gave them enemies, gave them fire. Now you are the fire. The crowd cheers as flames lick your body. The priest shouts about justice, about cleansing sin. You scream once, then bite your tongue to silence it. If this is justice, let it burn. And as the smoke rises into the gray sky, the people whisper the same word they always have, the word that built your life and destroyed it. But history, as always, forgets the truth. They'll call you a hero, or a monster, or both. Your life, your curse, is finished. And the world, hungry for fear, moves on to its next victim.